Hey everybody, this is Hank from Hey Hank Collectibles, and I am back with some more Riftbound content. This is going to be my first deck tech on the channel of Master Yi Wuju Bladesman. So for those of you who don't know, Riftbound is a newly released game coming out here in the US this Friday, the 31st of October, and I think it's going to be a hugely successful game. I think it's a really good game. I've played quite a bit of it at this point with the Chinese version of the cards. It's been out in China for roughly 3 months or so now. Um, and there's a whole meta game that's been developed, and I want to go over some of the top decks here on this channel and some of the spins and different card choices that I've put into the decks in my playtesting. So let's get into it. This is Master Yi. So Master Yi, the Wuju Bladesman, is going to be your legend. His ability is when a friendly unit defends alone on a battlefield, it is going to get +2 might. That makes your controlled battlefields really hard to take from you, specifically when you already have some really big bodies defending those battlefields. Um, he is a calm and body legend. Um, Green and orange is what I want to refer to them as. Um, yeah, let's get into it. For our champion unit, we have Master Yi Honed. He is a 7 cost, 7 energy, 1 power cost, with 6 power. He has ganking and he enters the battlefield ready. This is a really strong champion unit because it's always a threat on the board. Um, Basically, it starts in play, it stays in play until it's removed. You always have the option to put this out to help you take a battlefield that you need, whether that's before you get into your late game drops or after you started to develop a board to help you secure locations and then hold them ideally for the rest of the game. Um, you're going to see that this version of the Master Yi deck is on the slower side. It's not the mid-range version that was seen early on in the developing meta in China. It's one of the Aurora focus versions that came into the metagame towards the later end of set one so far. So this is a really important champion unit to have. It's very powerful, and it gives you just a lot of utility in controlling the battlefields, controlling the board. Um, for our battlefields, we have Aspirant's Climb. This one is both players are playing for one additional point. So instead of playing to 8, you're playing to 9. And that's really important for this deck because it starts very slow, but once it starts to develop with boards, it just takes over and it becomes really hard to break, basically. So you want that extra point. You want the game to go longer because the longer the game goes, the more likely you are to win. We have Obelisk of Power. At the start of each player's first beginning plays, that player channels a rune. This is a trigger. It can be missed, so do note that. But yeah, you just basically you're ramping off to start the game. You want to do that in this deck. You want to get to your 8 runes as fast as possible so that you could drop your auroras and start taking control of the board. So that is a good choice there as well. And then Sigil the Storm is my choice for the third battlefield. When you conquer here, you recycle one of your runes, and you must recycle one of your runes with this trigger. Um, they verified that in an FAQ. So what this is doing is basically slowing your opponent down, forcing them to deramp in order to take this battlefield, which is good for you. You want them to be slowed down so that you have more time to basically establish your Aurora and to establish a battlefield of your own to fight back against them. You're oftentimes going to go down 5-6 points before you really start taking over the board. So anything you can do to slow them down is really good. And Sigil of the Storm is a good battlefield to do that. The ability here, you don't necessarily care about it too much because once you have your Aurora down, you're going to have an ample amount of runes to work with. And yeah, it's basically an ability that you get to ignore, but really hampers your opponent's ability to control the battlefields without taking a loss, essentially. And then for our runes, we are going to have 6 body, orange runes, and 6 calm, green runes. So that's an even split there. Yeah, it's the deck's pretty split down the middle in terms of power costs, so an even split tends to work out. I haven't had any issues with that. And with that, let's get on to the main deck and start off here with the namesake of the deck, Dazzling Aurora. This is your entire strategy is basically based around this this gear. It is a 9 cost, 9 energy cost, 2 power costs. So you're putting back 2 orange to play this. But it says at the end of your turn, reveal cards from the top of your main deck until you reveal a unit. You may play it, ignoring its cost, and recycle the rest. This has been routed to basically say that the unit that you reveal gets banished, and then you play it from banished, just to for mechanic reasons. But effectively works the same. It's extremely powerful. You're basically cheating in units from your deck, and as you'll see, you're cheating in some very expensive and very powerful units. So you want to get one of these out on the board and let it do the work for you. Until then, you're just trying to protect yourself. You're trying to draw. You're trying to ramp. You're trying to get to this. You're trying to stick it, and you're going to let this card win for you. You run 3 of them. You want as many of them on the board as you can get. You want to protect them once they're on the board. So everything hinges on this card. You can win games without it, but much harder because, like I said, you have to get to 9 to play this, and your opponent's going to have a substantial head start on you. So it is key that you get this out as quickly as possible. So you have 3 Dazzling Auroras. For our units, we have 3 Deadland Predators. This is probably the most powerful unit in the game. Maybe Watcher is more powerful. White Flame Protector, obviously, very good. But what this says, it's a 8 power, 8 energy cost, 2 power cost, 8 might unit, and it has deflect, so your opponent has to pay an additional rune to target it, and you can play him to occupied enemy battlefields. So if you reveal this off of Dazzling Aurora at your end phase, you'll get to play this at your opponent's battlefield, and when it's played to your opponent's battlefield, it is attacking that battlefield. So there will be a combat, and basically you can deny your opponent's points by revealing this off your Aurora. You can deny them points also by playing this from your hand. It is extremely powerful. It's one of the reasons why Body is such a strong color, and an automatic 3 of. Next we have White Flame Protector. This one says, when you play me, give a unit +8 might. It is an 8 might, 8 energy, 2 power, 2 calm power cost. So again, another expensive unit, but effectively having 16 might on the turn that it's played. Mostly going to be relevant, you know, if you have 2 Auroras, and if you have, mostly this is going to be relevant when you're playing it to attack a base. So like, let's say you go, you have a Yi or something ready in your base, play this out, it makes it just massive, so it can go and break an entire battlefield by itself. It's also just a big body, 8 power, generically on your opponent's turn is very good, and it is a very powerful card, another one of the most powerful cards in the set, and that's a theme here. You want to be cheating on these really strong creatures for no cost. You have Mountain Drake. There's 2 of these, just a 9 energy cost, 10 power, just a vanilla 10. 10 is a big number. You get to play it for free off your Aurora, and it's been very good for me. Some decks play one or none of these for these Aurora focused Yi decks, but I've found that there are situations where if the opponent is actively playing against your strategy and they're getting rid of your units, you are going to want those extra units in the deck, and that's one of those extra units that I've added. Another one of those extra units I've added is Volibear Imposing. A lot of lists run one of these. Some of them run extras out of the board. I run 2 in the main. It gives me a total of 10 units that I can get off my Auroras, and I found that to be an acceptable amount. So Volibear, 12 energy cost, so all your runes, and 2 power, 10 might with shield 3, so 13 power, 13 might on defense, with tank, so protecting your other units at the battlefield. because damage must be assigned to a Volibear first. And when an opponent moves to a battlefield other than his, you get to draw a card, so it's giving you some additional advantage if your opponent tries to avoid him, which they most likely will, because he's a very large unit. And yeah, this is your win con. You got 10 big creatures, 3 auras. You're playing off that. You're using Yi to fill in gaps, and everything else is built around making this game plan work. So let's get into that. The first thing that you have there is ramp. For your ramp, you have 2 focused ramp spells. You have Mobilize, which is channel and exhaust Ruin. If you can't, you get to draw a card on a 2 cost. You have Catalyst of Eons. You get to channel 2 runes exhausted, and if you can't, you get to draw a card. And then you have sort of a dual purpose card here in Find Your Center. It is an action spell, meaning that you can play it during showdowns, and if an opponent scores within 3 points of victory, which they will get to that point while you're trying to get to your Aurora, generally. Then you get to play it for 1 cost instead of 3. And what Find Your Center is doing is it lets you draw a card and channel a rune exhausted. So a very powerful effect. It functions as both draw and ramp, and it's good to play as 3, even better to play as 1. Just a very strong card in general, and you can play it during showdowns if you need to dig for a card. What you'll notice here is none of these cards have power costs. You want to avoid that as much as possible when building this Aurora Yi deck, because you want all of your runes in play. You want to get to that 9 value as quickly as possible, and you do not want to be recycling runes if you can avoid it. So that's your ramp package. You have 9 there. And then after that, we're looking to get to our Aurora. So these are all cards that we're playing because they have the text draw card. This is Confront, 2 cost. It's an action, can be played in showdowns, and it says that your units enter ready. That can be relevant. What you'll see is these draw spells, some of them have dual purpose. This can be relevant in the end game. Say you have 10 resources, you pay 2, you play your White Flame Protector, you play Confront, play the White Flame Protector, make it a 16, and then attack with it. That's a function of Confront, but in the early game, it functions as a cantrip. If you don't have your Aurora, it helps you get to that Aurora. You have Meditate. This is a reaction speed spell with cost 2. Again, no power cost. It says you draw a card, you can exhaust a friendly unit to draw 2 cards instead. Again, just a good cantrip effect and a draw spell there. And then the last one that I run is 1 copy of Discipline. This is a reaction that says give unit +2 might and draw a card. So this again has dual purpose like in front in the end game. It can help save your units from damage or in combat to help you win at a battlefield. But it can also be used on your opponent's units, during the game, during the course of the game leading up to your Aurora turn, just as a cantrip to help you get to your Aurora. So we have 7 draw spells there, some of them with dual purpose. One thing I have considered is potentially swapping this out for Spoils of War, which is a draw 2 with the 4 costs but 1 power. And the reason I haven't done that is because, again, we don't want to be recycling our runes when we're trying to get to our Aurora. And then what we have here is your control elements. These are helping you protect your units once they're on board. They're helping you protect your Aurora once it's on board. And they're very important for protecting your game plan once you establish it. If you can protect your Aurora, you can protect the units that are coming out with the Aurora, you're going to win the game. Even if you're 6 points behind when the Aurora drops, you will just take over the game as soon as it starts bringing in those massive creatures for free. So we have 3 to 5. This is a counter spell with reaction speed. It does have a power cost, but if you need to utilize it, to stop them from playing Sabotage to look at your hand and take your Aurora, then you might need to do it, right? What it says is you counter a spell that costs no more than 4 and no more than a single rune. And that's very important for protecting your combo, protecting your Auroras in hand and on the field, protecting your units from kill spells. Very important card, just for protecting your strategy in general. Same thing here with Windwall. 3 costs, 2 rune spell with reaction, says counter spell, basically serving the same function. Then we have 2 sabotage. Sabotage says it's 1 energy, 1 power. It says choose an opponent, they reveal their hand, you choose a non-unit card from it, and you recycle that card. So you're looking at your opponent hand, you're taking their main cards, and anything that can threaten your game plan, you know, their gear removal, their unconditional creature removal, stuff like hidden blades and whatnot, and you're taking those out of the equation before your Aurora drops to protect it. Also looking for their sabotages basically, so they can't go into your hand and mess with your strategy. Then lastly, you have Zhonya's Hourglass. Once you do establish these big creatures at the battlefields, you want to hide your Zhonyas there so that if they do manage to kill that creature, you get to bring it back to your base and then come back with the next turn to take that battlefield back, so that they're not able to hold it to get points to end the game. So that's important for protecting your plan once it's established and protecting cards in your hand and on field until you take over the board. And then lastly here, we have the sideboard. First card, Primal Strength. A lot of this, I will also say, is, I guess, personal preference. I'm still working on this. This is not set in stone, but this is where I'm at with the sideboard currently. We have 1 Primal Strength. It's an action with give you an +7 might this turn. This is going to be for other decks that are trying to go tall against you. Some Kaisas will try to go into Mundos. Some green decks will try to go into White Flame Protectors to try to break your board. They might even, some body decks, orange decks are going to have Primal Strengths of their own, and this is to fight back against that, help protect your board. Stormclaw Earth Signs. This is for the aggressive decks where you need to establish a presence on board, faster than you can get out in Aurora. It has tank, so can protect your units from damage on battlefields, and it does help you accelerate runes because it says, again, 7 cost, no power, 6 might, has tank, and when you play me, you channel Rune Exhausted. So this is for those aggressive matchups where that can be useful, having an earlier body, in addition to the Master Yi honed. Next we have Rune Prison. This is a 2 cost, 2 energy, 1 power spell with action, stun a unit, which means that it can't deal combat damage that turn. This has some multi-purpose. It's good against aggro. It's good against when they try to go tall with units against your battlefield, to sort of stop that attack. It has some multi-purpose function. Currently I'm on 1 of it. That might go up. We'll have some flex slots here, which we'll talk about. We have a 3rd copy of Windwall that comes in post-board most of the time, because a lot of the gear removal, hand disruption that people are playing, oftentimes is coming out of board, or there's more copies of it coming in out of board, so it's nice to have the additional counterspell for that. Then lastly, this is a flexible slot. 2 charms. This is one energy, 1 power spell. Does not have action, so essentially sorcery speed, if you're familiar with Magic. Lets you move a unit, move an enemy unit. This can be good for slowing your opponents down, forcing them to attack into your big battlefields, to act as like a pseudo removal. This is something that I think is flexible, depending on like your metagame. This can be changed, but it's been good for me, so I'm running through it. Good against aggressive decks, good to remove threats, slow your opponent down, clear battlefield so that you can take them to try to push for the win. Very good card in general, so it's there in the sideboard. And that's everything. That's a 40 card main deck, your 8 card side, and that's my current Master Yi build. Let me know if you have any questions or comments, what you think of my build, and until next time, thank you for watching. Peace.